While my son and daughter-in-law were standing in my $2.8 million luxury penthouse loft, speechless and stammering apologies as real estate agents photographed every stunning detail for Architectural Digest, I was sitting in my custom Italian leather chair overlooking the city skyline, finally understanding that sometimes the family members who laugh at a 70-year-old woman for moving into a creepy old attic are about to discover they just mocked someone with 45 years of architectural expertise and a vision they could never comprehend. Tell me in the comments. Have you ever been ridiculed by family members who thought your dreams were foolish, only to prove them spectacularly wrong? Share your story below, because today you're going to learn that sometimes the people who mock your unconventional choices are about to witness the most expensive lesson in humility they'll ever receive. This story is about the spring evening, when I realized that my own son, the child I'd raised after my husband's death, put through engineering school with money I'd earned designing buildings across 3 states, supported through his early career struggles, and helped establish his successful construction company, had been systematically treating me like a burden whose ideas were outdated and whose capabilities had diminished with age. When I discovered that the son I'd sacrificed everything for, taught everything I knew about construction and design, and trusted with my most vulnerable moments as I aged, had been quietly laughing at my dreams while assuming I was losing my mental sharpness, all while living in the beautiful home I'd designed and built for his family with my own architectural plans and construction oversight. My name is Eleanor Catherine Whitmore, and at 70 years old, I thought I'd found the perfect solution for maintaining my independence while staying close to family by moving into the supposedly unusable attic space of the Victorian mansion I'd inherited from my late mother. For 6 months, this arrangement had seemed like a reasonable compromise for a widowed architect who wanted to downsize her living space while remaining near her son's family and continuing to use her decades of design expertise for small consulting projects. The attic space that everyone had dismissed as a dusty, cramped storage area had actually caught my trained architect's eye as an incredible opportunity. 2,400 square feet of raw space with soaring cathedral ceilings, original exposed beams, and panoramic windows that could be transformed into something extraordinary with the right vision and expertise. What I hadn't expected was that my son, Michael, and his wife, Jennifer, would view my move to the attic not as a creative downsizing solution, but as evidence that I was becoming eccentric and possibly losing my grip on reality, despite the fact that I'd spent my entire career transforming impossible spaces into architectural masterpieces. The 3-story Victorian mansion in Portland's prestigious Laurelhurst neighborhood had been in our family for 60 years, purchased by my mother in 1964 when the area was still affordable for middle-class families. By 2024, the house had become worth over $1.8 million due to the neighborhood's transformation into one of Portland's most desirable historic districts. My mother, Helen Margaret Whitmore, had been a public school teacher who'd saved every penny for 15 years to afford the down payment on the Grand Victorian that had been built in 1923 by a wealthy lumber merchant. At the time of purchase, the house had been considered old-fashioned and had required significant maintenance. But my mother had recognized its potential and had been determined to preserve a piece of Portland's architectural heritage for future generations. The mansion featured classic Victorian architecture with ornate woodwork, bay windows, wraparound porches, and the kind of detailed craftsmanship that had been standard in the 1920s but had become prohibitively expensive to replicate in modern construction. The first floor contained formal living and dining rooms with 12-foot ceilings, a library with built-in bookcases, and a modernized kitchen that retained period charm while incorporating contemporary appliances. The second floor housed 4 bedrooms and 2 full bathrooms, including a master suite that my mother had lovingly restored with period-appropriate fixtures and careful attention to historical accuracy. Each room featured original hardwood floors, detailed crown molding, and windows that provided abundant natural light while maintaining the home's architectural integrity. But it was the third-floor attic that had always captured my imagination, even as a child playing among the stored furniture and family heirlooms that had accumulated over decades. The space had potential that no one else in the family had ever recognized, featuring structural elements and architectural details that could support an extraordinary transformation with the right expertise and vision. The mansion's third-floor Batson attic had been used for storage since my childhood, filled with decades of family belongings, holiday decorations, and forgotten furniture that made the space seem cramped and unusable to anyone who couldn't envision its potential. The slanted walls, low ceiling areas, and awkward angles had convinced everyone in the family that the attic was essentially worthless square footage that would never be suitable for actual living space. But as someone who'd spent 45 years designing custom homes, renovating historic buildings, and transforming challenging spaces into functional luxury living areas, I'd immediately recognized the attic's incredible potential when I'd first climbed those narrow stairs 6 months earlier to assess the feasibility of my unconventional moving plan. The space featured original 1920s hardwood floors hidden beneath decades of dust and storage items. The roofline created dramatic cathedral ceilings that soared to 14 feet at the peak, providing a sense of grandeur that most modern homes could never achieve. 6 dormer windows provided natural light from multiple directions, and the elevation offered unobstructed views of the Portland skyline, the Willamette River, and Mount Hood on clear days. Most importantly, the attic's position at the top of the house meant it could be completely reimagined without affecting the historic integrity of the floors below, allowing for modern luxury amenities while preserving the mansion's period character that made it valuable and protected under Portland's historic preservation guidelines. The structural elements were even more promising than the space itself. The original construction had featured massive Douglas fir beams that were still in excellent condition after nearly a century. The roof had been properly maintained over the decades, with no signs of water damage or structural compromise. The electrical system had been updated in the 1990s with capacity for modern appliances and lighting, and the plumbing could be extended from the second floor with minimal disruption to the existing layout. My decision to move into the attic space had been both practical and strategic. After my husband Robert's death 2 years earlier, I'd been rattling around in our 4,000-square-foot custom home in Lake Oswego, feeling isolated and overwhelmed by the maintenance requirements of a house designed for 2 people with active professional lives. The Lake Oswego house had been my masterpiece, a contemporary design that I'd created specifically for Robert and myself when we'd been at the peak of our careers and had wanted a home that would showcase my architectural abilities while providing the perfect environment for entertaining clients and colleagues. Every detail had been carefully planned, from the floor-to-ceiling windows that captured views of the lake to the open concept layout that had been revolutionary when I'd designed it in 1995. But after Robert's death, the house had felt more like a museum than a home. The soaring ceilings and expansive rooms that had once felt luxurious and welcoming had become echo chambers that amplified my loneliness. The maintenance requirements, landscaping, cleaning, system updates, had become burdensome rather than satisfying, requiring constant attention and expense that no longer felt worthwhile for a single occupant. The Laurelhurst mansion offered the perfect solution. I could maintain my independence while being close enough to help with my grandchildren. I could preserve the family property that would eventually pass to Michael, and I could undertake one final architectural project that would demonstrate my continued creativity and competence despite my age. More importantly, the attic transformation would serve as proof that innovative design and luxury living weren't limited by age or conventional expectations. I'd spent my entire career challenging assumptions about what was possible in residential design, and this project would be the culmination of everything I'd learned about maximizing space, incorporating natural light, and creating beauty in unexpected places. "Mom, are you sure about moving into that cramped attic space?" Michael had asked when I'd first proposed the arrangement during a family dinner at his house in November 2023. "The ceilings are low, there's no proper bathroom up there, and you'll be climbing stairs every day. Wouldn't it make more sense to find a nice senior living community with people your own age? The suggestion that I needed to move to a senior community rather than pursue my own creative housing solution had been the first indication that Michael was beginning to view me as someone whose judgment and capabilities were declining due to age, rather than as an accomplished professional who might have good reasons for unconventional choices. Michael's perspective had been influenced by his own experience in construction, where he'd specialized in large-scale commercial projects and had developed a practical, cost-conscious approach to building that prioritized efficiency and functionality over architectural innovation. His successful construction company, Whitmore and Associates, had built a reputation for delivering projects on time and under budget, but had rarely undertaken the kind of creative residential work that had defined my career. "Eleanor, I've seen what it takes to renovate attic spaces," Michael had continued, using his professional experience to support his skepticism. "The structural modifications alone could cost more than buying a nice condo in a retirement community. And at your age, do you really want to be dealing with construction noise, dust, and contractors every day for months?" The assumption that my age automatically disqualified me from managing complex renovation projects had been particularly insulting, given that I'd spent my entire career overseeing construction sites and had more expertise in residential renovation than anyone else in the family, including Michael himself. Jennifer had been even more direct in expressing her skepticism about my attic renovation plans, speaking with the kind of patronizing concern typically reserved for elderly relatives, who were making obviously poor decisions that required family intervention. "Eleanor, we're just worried that you're taking on more than you can handle," Jennifer had said during one of our early discussions about the move, her voice carrying the careful tone that people use when they're trying to be diplomatic about someone's declining judgment. "Renovating an attic at your age seems like it could be dangerous and expensive. Maybe you should just move into the guest room on the second floor and use the attic for storage like it's always been used." Jennifer's background in real estate had given her opinions additional weight in family discussions, despite the fact that her experience had been limited to buying and selling existing properties rather than the architectural design and renovation that would be required for the attic transformation. Her suggestion that I simply accept conventional uses for the space had reflected a fundamental misunderstanding of both my capabilities and my vision for the project. "We could help you find a really nice place in one of those active senior communities," Jennifer had added, producing brochures for retirement communities that she'd apparently researched in advance of our conversation. "Look at these amenities: fitness centers, social activities, maintenance-free living. Wouldn't that be so much easier than trying to renovate an old attic?" The assumption that I would prefer the predetermined social activities and managed lifestyle of a retirement community over the challenge and satisfaction of creating my own unique living space had revealed how completely Jennifer misunderstood my personality and priorities despite years of family interactions. But what had made their skepticism even more frustrating was their complete failure to recognize that the eccentric old woman moving into the attic was actually someone with the professional credentials, industry relationships, and creative vision necessary to transform the space into something extraordinary. The architectural expertise that Michael and Jennifer were dismissing as unrealistic for someone my age had actually been developed over 4.5 decades of designing award-winning residential and commercial projects throughout Oregon, Washington, and Northern California. My career had begun in 1979, when I'd graduated summa cum laude from the University of Oregon's School of Architecture and Allied Arts, one of only 3 women in a class of 47 students and the youngest person ever to receive the Dean's Award for Design Excellence. The award had been based on my senior thesis project, a proposal for transforming abandoned warehouse spaces into affordable luxury housing that had been revolutionary for its time and had attracted attention from architectural firms throughout the Pacific Northwest. My first position had been as a junior architect with Morrison & Associates, a prestigious Portland firm specializing in custom residential design and historic preservation projects. The firm had been founded in 1962 by Thomas Morrison, a legendary architect who'd been instrumental in establishing Portland's reputation for innovative residential design and environmental consciousness. Even as an entry-level employee earning $18,000 per year. While learning the practical aspects of architectural practice, I'd demonstrated an intuitive understanding of space planning and structural possibilities that had impressed senior partners and had led to rapid advancement through the firm's hierarchy. Eleanor has a natural gift for visualizing spatial relationships and understanding how people actually live in the spaces we design, Thomas Morrison had written in my first performance review. Her designs consistently balance aesthetic beauty with practical functionality in ways that more experienced architects struggle to achieve. My specialty had quickly become transforming difficult spaces, attics, basements, and irregular floor plans, into functional luxury living areas that maximized both beauty and utility. While other architects had viewed challenging spaces as problems to be solved with minimal investment, I'd approached them as opportunities to create something unique and extraordinary. My first major project had been the renovation of a 1920s carriage house in Portland's Pearl District, transforming what had been horse stables and hay storage into a stunning 3-level contemporary home for a young professional couple. The project had required creative solutions for low ceilings, irregular floor plans, and structural limitations, but the result had been featured in Portland Home and Garden magazine and had established my reputation for innovative residential design. Eleanor Whitmore has transformed an impossible space into our dream home, the clients had written in a testimonial that had helped launch my career. She saw potential where other architects saw only problems, and her design has created beauty and functionality that exceeds anything we could have imagined. By 1985, I'd been promoted to senior associate and had been managing some of the firm's most challenging projects, including the renovation of several historic Portland landmarks and the design of custom homes for the city's most discerning clients. My portfolio had included everything from converting abandoned industrial buildings into luxury condominiums to designing contemporary homes that complemented historic neighborhood character while incorporating modern amenities and energy efficiency. The project that had truly established my reputation had been the renovation of the historic Multnomah Athletic Club in 1987, where I'd been responsible for transforming the building's unused 4th floor into luxury guest suites and event spaces. The project had required working within strict historic preservation guidelines, while incorporating modern comfort and technology that would meet contemporary hospitality standards. Eleanor has an exceptional gift for seeing potential in spaces that other architects write off as impossible, Thomas Morrison had written in a recommendation letter that had helped me secure my architectural license. Her designs consistently exceed client expectations while respecting structural limitations and budget constraints. She has the rare ability to make the impossible look effortless. The promotion to principal architect in 1992 had recognized not just my individual design talents, but also my ability to manage complex projects, coordinate with contractors and engineers, and deliver results that had enhanced Morrison & Associates' reputation throughout the Pacific Northwest. As principal architect, I'd been responsible for overseeing the firm's most prestigious residential projects, while also mentoring junior architects and developing new approaches to sustainable design that had kept the firm at the forefront of environmental consciousness in residential construction. My most celebrated project during this period had been the design of the Williams family compound in the Columbia River Gorge, where I'd created a series of interconnected buildings that had provided multi-generational housing while preserving the natural landscape and maximizing views of the surrounding mountains and river. Eleanor Whitmore has created architecture that enhances rather than dominates its environment. The American Institute of Architects had noted when presenting the project with their Regional Design Award in 1995. Her innovative approach to sustainable luxury has established new standards for environmentally conscious residential design. The decision to establish my own firm, Whitmore Design Associates, in 1998, had been motivated by my desire to focus exclusively on the kind of innovative residential projects that had become my specialty. The firm had quickly attracted clients who were looking for architectural solutions that went beyond conventional approaches to create truly unique living spaces. Over the following 20 years, Whitmore Design Associates had completed over 150 residential projects, ranging from historic renovations to contemporary custom homes to the transformation of unconventional spaces into luxury living areas. My approach had consistently emphasized the importance of understanding how clients actually lived and worked, creating designs that supported their lifestyles while incorporating beauty and innovation that enhanced their daily experiences. One of my most challenging and rewarding projects had been the conversion of a 1950s gas station in Northwest Portland into a stunning modern home for a couple of artists who'd needed both living space and studio areas. The project had required completely reimagining the building's purpose while preserving its mid-century architectural character and incorporating contemporary amenities that would support both residential and professional functions. Eleanor Whitmore has a genius for transforming spaces that no one else can even imagine as livable, the clients had written in a feature article for Dwell magazine. She took a building that everyone else saw as worthless and created our perfect home and workspace. Her vision goes far beyond conventional architecture to understand how space can transform lives. The recognition that had meant the most to me had come in 2015 when the Portland chapter of the American Institute of Architects had presented me with their Lifetime Achievement Award, recognizing not just individual projects, but my overall contribution to advancing residential design and historic preservation throughout the region. Eleanor Whitmore has spent 4 decades proving that innovation and respect for architectural heritage can coexist beautifully, the award citation had read. Her work has enhanced Portland's residential landscape while establishing standards for creative problem-solving and environmental consciousness that have influenced architects throughout the Pacific Northwest. By the time I'd decided to retire in 2018, Whitmore Design Associates had been recognized as one of the most respected residential design firms in Oregon, with a portfolio that had consistently demonstrated the possibilities for transforming challenging spaces into extraordinary living environments. But standing in that dusty attic space 6 months ago, surrounded by skeptical family members who couldn't envision its potential, I'd had no idea that my decision to transform this worthless space would soon demonstrate to everyone exactly what happened when they underestimated someone with my expertise, resources, and determination to prove that creativity and competence don't diminish with age. The 70-year-old woman they were dismissing as impractical was actually someone with the architectural knowledge, construction industry relationships, and project management experience to create something that would leave them speechless and force them to reconsider everything they thought they knew about aging, capability, and the power of professional expertise combined with unlimited creative vision. The attic space that Michael and Jennifer had written off as unsuitable for human habitation was about to become the most spectacular residential transformation Portland had ever seen. And the family members who'd laughed at my unconventional housing choice were about to learn that some dreams are too powerful and some visionaries too determined to be limited by other people's assumptions about what's possible. Sometimes the people who think your dreams are unrealistic are about to discover you're actually someone with the skills and determination to make the impossible look effortless. Michael and Jennifer were about to learn that laughing at someone's unconventional housing choice was the beginning of the most expensive lesson in humility they'd ever receive. The foundation they'd been taking for granted, my architectural expertise, my professional relationships, my access to the best contractors and craftspeople in Portland, and my absolute determination to prove that innovation knows no age limits, was actually going to become the platform from which I would launch the most comprehensive demonstration of what happens when you underestimate someone with 45 years of design expertise and unlimited creative vision. What Michael and Jennifer hadn't anticipated was that their assumption about my declining capabilities had one fatal flaw. I was actually the person who understood residential transformation better than anyone they knew, had access to resources and relationships they'd forgotten existed, and possessed the architectural knowledge necessary to create something they'd never seen coming. The investigation that would follow would expose months of systematic dismissal disguised as family concern, and the response would transform our family dynamics forever, while teaching them that some people fight back with consequences more beautiful and more lasting than anything they could ever imagine. Standing in my inherited Victorian mansion that snowy December evening, surrounded by decades of architectural expertise and unlimited access to the construction industry's most talented professionals, I had no idea that the family members I'd been supporting for years were about to laugh at my dreams during a holiday dinner, revealing the true extent of their condescension and setting in motion events that would change everything forever. Sometimes the people who think you're just an aging family member whose best days are behind her are about to discover you're actually someone with the power to transform their understanding of what's possible when experience meets determination and unlimited creative vision. Standing in my Lake Oswego home office that December morning, reviewing the preliminary sketches and design concepts I'd been developing for the attic transformation, I realized I needed to understand how I'd reached this point of casual dismissal from family members who should have been celebrating my continued creativity and professional ambition rather than treating my architectural vision as evidence of declining judgment. But to comprehend the full scope of what was building toward that devastating holiday dinner incident, you need to know about the life of design innovation and construction mastery I'd built before Michael and Jennifer decided my expertise was something outdated rather than invaluable. A life of architectural breakthroughs, industry leadership, and the kind of spatial vision that had made their systematic underestimation both possible and ultimately catastrophic. My journey to that frustrating December morning had begun 70 years earlier, when I'd been born Eleanor Catherine Richardson, to parents who understood that a woman's education and professional competence were not optional luxuries, but essential foundations for survival and dignity in a world that rarely offered women second chances or easy paths to architectural recognition and financial independence. My father, David Alexander Richardson, had been a structural engineer for the Oregon Department of Transportation, specializing in bridge design and infrastructure projects that had helped build the modern highway system, seismic retrofitting programs, and public works projects that had defined Oregon's growth throughout the mid-20th century. He'd spent his career understanding complex structural systems, managing engineering teams, and ensuring that projects worth millions of dollars were completed according to specifications that would keep them functioning safely for decades under the most challenging environmental conditions. "Eleanor," my father had said during one of our regular Sunday evening conversations about my future plans, "the most important thing you can learn is that structural integrity and creative vision must work together to create architecture that serves people for generations. Anyone can design something beautiful, but it takes real expertise to design something beautiful that will still be beautiful and functional 50 years from now." My mother, Margaret Rose Richardson, had been equally influential in shaping my understanding of what was possible for an educated woman willing to work harder and think more strategically than the people around her. She'd worked as a draftsperson for a small architectural firm in Portland, while also managing our household, with the kind of meticulous attention to detail and aesthetic sensibility that had kept our family's living space both beautiful and functional, despite the economic constraints that had characterized the 1950s and 1960s. "Darling," my mother had told me during my high school years, "never let anyone convince you that being good at mathematics and understanding spatial relationships is somehow unfeminine or inappropriate. The women I know who have the most security and independence are those who understand how things are built, can visualize complex three-dimensional relationships, and refuse to depend on other people for their economic survival or creative fulfillment." Taitu. Richardson household had been intellectually stimulating and aesthetically conscious in ways that had prepared me for the architectural career I would eventually build. Dinner conversations had regularly included discussions of engineering principles, architectural history, construction techniques, and the importance of building systems that could function reliably under pressure while also contributing to the beauty and livability of human environments. Our home had been filled with architectural magazines, engineering textbooks, and the kind of analytical thinking that had made complex design problems seem solvable rather than overwhelming. By age 12, I'd already been helping my father with basic structural calculations and had developed sophisticated understanding of load-bearing requirements, material properties, and the relationship between form and function that would characterize my entire approach to architectural design. My academic journey had begun at Lincoln High School in Portland, a public school known for its rigorous mathematics and science programs and its emphasis on preparing students for engineering and technical careers rather than just traditional liberal arts education. The school's approach to education had emphasized analytical thinking, precise communication, and the kind of personal discipline that would serve me well in competitive professional environments throughout my career. At Lincoln High, I'd excelled in mathematics, physics, and technical drawing, while also developing the organizational skills and attention to detail that would characterize my entire approach to professional responsibilities. The school's student body had included children of engineers, architects, contractors, and skilled tradespeople who understood that technical education was the primary path to economic advancement and professional recognition in Oregon's growing construction and development industries. Miss Richardson, my calculus teacher had written in a recommendation letter that I'd found years later, demonstrates the rare combination of mathematical intelligence and spatial visualization ability that characterizes natural architects and engineers. She has the analytical skills to understand complex structural relationships and the creative judgment to envision solutions that are both technically sound and aesthetically beautiful. My senior thesis project at Lincoln High had focused on the relationship between residential design and energy efficiency in Oregon's climate, research that had required me to analyze building materials, heating systems, and construction techniques, while also developing original design proposals that demonstrated how environmental consciousness could enhance rather than compromise architectural beauty. The University of Oregon's School of Architecture and Allied Arts had been the obvious next step, offering one of the most respected architectural programs on the West Coast and a curriculum that combined rigorous technical training with creative design education and practical experience in professional architectural practice. During my 5 years at the University of Oregon, I'd maintained a 3.9 GPA while also working part-time as a draftsperson for a small residential design firm in Eugene and completing internships with major Portland architectural firms that had provided hands-on experience in every aspect of architectural practice from initial client consultation to construction administration and project completion. The architectural program at Oregon had been particularly demanding, requiring students to develop expertise in structural engineering, environmental systems, building codes, construction methods, and architectural history, while also completing complex design projects that demonstrated creativity, technical competence, and understanding of how buildings function as integrated systems that must serve human needs while respecting environmental constraints and budget limitations. Eleanor has demonstrated exceptional ability in both the technical and creative aspects of architectural education, my design studio professor had written during my 4th year. Her projects consistently demonstrate sophisticated understanding of structural systems and environmental design, while also exhibiting the kind of spatial imagination and aesthetic sensibility that characterizes truly gifted architects. My senior thesis project at Oregon had examined innovative approaches to residential design in the Pacific Northwest, focusing on how traditional building techniques could be combined with contemporary materials and environmental systems to create homes that were both energy efficient and architecturally distinctive. The project had required extensive research into regional building traditions, climate considerations, and emerging technologies, while also developing original design proposals that demonstrated practical applications of these concepts. The thesis had been selected for presentation at the Pacific Northwest Regional Architecture Students Conference and had received recognition from the Oregon chapter of the American Institute of Architects as an outstanding example of how young architects could contribute to solving contemporary housing challenges while respecting regional architectural traditions. After graduating summa cum laude from Oregon in 1979, I'd spent 6 months working for a small firm in Salem, providing design services for custom homes and small commercial projects that needed professional architectural planning, but couldn't afford the fees charged by larger firms. The position had been excellent preparation for understanding the business aspects of architectural practice and had given me experience in the kind of hands-on problem-solving that would become central to my career specialization in residential design and renovation. The Salem firm experience had also introduced me to the complex relationship between architectural design and construction reality. As I'd watched project after project encounter unexpected challenges that required creative solutions and collaborative problem-solving between architects, contractors, and clients who were investing their life savings in building projects that had to succeed both aesthetically and functionally. Eleanor, you have a natural talent for understanding how buildings actually get built, my supervisor at the Salem firm had observed after I'd successfully resolved a complex foundation problem that had threatened to derail a custom home project. You don't just understand design principles, you understand construction processes and how to work with contractors to solve problems that arise during actual building. One of my most successful projects at the Salem firm had involved helping a young family design and build their first custom home on a difficult hillside lot that had been rejected by 3 other architects as unbuildable due to slope, soil conditions, and access limitations. The project had required 6 months of intensive site analysis, geotechnical consultation, and innovative foundation design that had allowed the family to build their dream home while staying within their modest budget. Ms. Richardson has demonstrated exceptional ability in developing creative solutions for challenging site conditions, the family had written in a testimonial letter. Her understanding of both design and construction made it possible for us to build a beautiful home on a lot that other architects said was impossible to develop. Her expertise saved us both money and heartache while delivering results that exceeded our expectations. The Hillside Home project had been particularly meaningful because it had demonstrated how sophisticated architectural analysis could make the impossible possible, transforming a site that others had dismissed into the foundation for a family's long-term happiness and financial security. The project had also given me my first taste of the satisfaction that came from proving conventional wisdom wrong through superior knowledge and creative problem-solving. It was during my time at the Salem firm that I'd first begun to understand the enormous gap between what most people expected from residential architecture and what was actually possible when sophisticated design principles were applied to the challenges of creating beautiful, functional living spaces that enhanced people's daily lives while also building long-term value and environmental sustainability. This insight had led directly to my decision to seek a position with Morrison & Associates in Portland, where I believed I could develop the expertise necessary to specialize in the kind of innovative residential design that could transform how people thought about the relationship between architecture and quality of life. The interview process at Morrison & Associates had been comprehensive and challenging, involving multiple meetings with senior partners, project managers, and technical specialists who were evaluating not just my design abilities, but also my potential for building the kind of client relationships that would drive long-term business success in Portland's competitive architectural market. Miss Richardson, Thomas Morrison had said during my final interview, residential architecture is ultimately about understanding how people want to live and having the technical expertise to create spaces that support those aspirations while also building lasting value. Do you think you can develop that kind of understanding while also mastering the complex technical skills that distinguish truly professional architectural practice? My answer had been based on my experience working with diverse clients at the Salem firm. Mr. Morrison, I've learned that successful architectural relationships are built on listening carefully to what clients really need, understanding the technical constraints that must be respected, and developing creative solutions that serve both practical requirements and aesthetic aspirations. I believe my background in structural engineering and my experience with challenging residential projects has prepared me to provide that kind of comprehensive service. The starting position at Morrison & Associates had been as a junior architect in the residential design division, earning $22,000 per year while learning the sophisticated design and project management approaches that had made Morrison one of the most respected residential architecture firms in the Pacific Northwest. But what had distinguished me from other entry-level employees had been my systematic approach to understanding not just how to create beautiful designs, but why certain design approaches worked better than others and how different technical solutions could be integrated to create architecture that was both innovative and enduring. Within my first month at Morrison & Associates, I'd immersed myself in the firm's portfolio of completed projects, studying every aspect of their design philosophy, technical approaches, and client relationship management strategies. I'd also begun developing relationships with the contractors, consultants, and craftspeople who were essential partners in transforming architectural designs into built reality. Within 3 months, I'd begun identifying opportunities to improve project efficiency and design quality by suggesting better integration between architectural design and construction planning, more effective communication with clients during the design development process, and innovative technical solutions that could enhance both functionality and aesthetic appeal while controlling construction costs. Eleanor processes complex design information faster and more accurately than junior architects with years of experience, Thomas Morrison had noted in my first performance review. But more importantly, she understands how architectural decisions affect construction processes and client satisfaction in ways that demonstrate genuine professional maturity and technical sophistication. The promotion to intermediate architect had come after 18 months, recognizing not just my design abilities but also my capacity to manage client relationships, coordinate with consulting engineers and contractors, and handle the complex project administration that was essential for successful architectural practice in an increasingly competitive and technically demanding market. As an intermediate architect, I'd been responsible for managing medium-sized residential projects from initial design through construction completion, requiring both creative design skills and practical project management abilities that ensured clients received exceptional value while projects were completed on schedule and within budget constraints. The most challenging aspect of the intermediate architect position had been learning to balance client aspirations with technical constraints and budget limitations, developing design solutions that satisfied everyone's requirements while maintaining the aesthetic and functional standards that had built Morrison & Associates' reputation for architectural excellence. My first major independent project had been the design of a custom home for a Portland surgeon and his family who had wanted a contemporary house that would complement the traditional architecture of their established neighborhood while incorporating modern amenities and energy efficiency that would support their lifestyle and environmental values. The project had required extensive research into neighborhood character, zoning requirements, and environmental design strategies, while also developing innovative space planning that would accommodate the family's complex needs for both private living areas and spaces suitable for professional entertainment and community engagement. Eleanor has created a design that perfectly balances our need for contemporary functionality with respect for our neighborhood's architectural heritage, the clients had written in a letter to Thomas Morrison. Her attention to detail and her ability to understand both our practical requirements and our aesthetic preferences has resulted in a home that exceeds our expectations while enhancing our community's character. The Surgeon's House project had been featured in Portland Monthly magazine, and had received recognition from the Portland Home Builders Association as an outstanding example of how contemporary design could enhance rather than conflict with. Established neighborhood character, establishing my reputation for sophisticated residential design that served both individual clients and broader community interests. The promotion to senior architect in 1983 had placed me among Morrison & Associates' senior design staff and had given me responsibility for the firm's most challenging and prestigious residential projects, including historic renovations, complex, site developments, and innovative custom homes that required the highest levels of technical expertise and creative problem-solving. As a senior architect, I'd also been responsible for mentoring junior staff, developing new design approaches that kept Morrison at the forefront of residential architecture innovation, and maintaining relationships with the industry professionals and community leaders who were essential sources of referrals and collaborative opportunities that supported the firm's continued growth and reputation. The most significant project during my senior architect period had been the renovation and expansion of the historic Pittock Mansion grounds, where I'd been responsible for designing new support buildings and landscape features that would enhance the property's function as a public museum while respecting its historical significance and architectural integrity. The Pittock Mansion project had required extensive collaboration with historic preservation specialists, landscape architects, and community stakeholders, while also managing complex technical challenges related to seismic upgrades, accessibility, improvements, and modern building systems that had to be integrated invisibly into structures that were protected under National Historic Preservation Guidelines. Eleanor Whitmore has demonstrated exceptional skill in balancing preservation requirements with contemporary functionality, the National Park Service had noted in their project approval documentation. Her design solutions respect historical integrity while enabling the property to serve its educational and cultural mission for future generations. The promotion to principal architect in 1992 had recognized not just my individual design achievements, but also my contributions to firm management, business development, and the professional mentoring that had helped Morrison & Associates maintain its position as one of Portland's most respected architectural practices. As a principal architect, I'd been responsible for strategic planning, policy development, and oversight of Morrison & Associates' entire residential division, managing a team of 12 architects and designers while also maintaining direct involvement in the firm's most important and complex projects. My leadership responsibilities had included developing new services and design approaches that differentiated Morrison from competitors, maintaining relationships with key clients and industry partners, and ensuring that all projects met the firm's standards for design excellence, technical competence, and client satisfaction that had built Morrison's reputation over 30 years of practice. The most ambitious project during my tenure as principal architect had been the master planning and design oversight for the Westmoreland residential development, a 150-unit planned community that had required innovative approaches to density, environmental sustainability, and community design that would create a model for responsible residential development in the Portland metropolitan area. The Westmoreland project had involved 3 years of planning, community engagement, and design development that had resulted in a residential community that preserved significant natural areas while providing diverse housing options that served families across economic levels and life stages. Eleanor Whitmore has created a development model that proves environmental responsibility and community livability can enhance rather than compromise economic viability. The Urban Land Institute had noted when presenting the project with their Award for Excellence in Residential Development. Her innovative design approach has established new standards for sustainable community development in the Pacific Northwest. By 1998, when I'd made the decision to establish Whitmore Design Associates as an independent practice, I'd accumulated 20 years of experience in every aspect of residential architecture, from small renovations to large-scale community planning, had developed expertise in historic preservation and environmental design that was recognized throughout the region, and had built relationships with clients, contractors, and consultants that would provide the foundation for a successful independent practice. The decision to start my own firm had been motivated by my desire to focus exclusively on the kind of innovative residential projects that had become my specialty, working with clients who valued architectural excellence and were willing to invest in design solutions that would enhance their lives while building lasting value and contributing to their community's character and livability. Whitmore Design Associates had begun operations in a converted warehouse space in Portland's Pearl District, with a staff of 3 designers and a portfolio of clients who had followed me from Morrison & Associates because they valued the personalized attention and innovative design approaches that had characterized my work throughout my career. The firm's first major project had been the renovation of a 1920s industrial building into luxury condominiums, transforming 40,000 square feet of abandoned manufacturing space into 24 unique residential units that preserved the building's industrial character while incorporating contemporary amenities and environmental systems that met modern expectations for comfort and efficiency. Eleanor Whitmore has created residential spaces that honor the building's industrial heritage while providing luxury living that exceeds anything available in conventional residential development, the Pearl District Neighborhood Association had noted in their newsletter. Her design approach demonstrates how historic preservation and contemporary lifestyle can enhance each other. Over the following 20 years, Whitmore Design Associates had completed over 150 residential projects, ranging from small-scale renovations to major custom homes, to the adaptive reuse of historic buildings for residential purposes. Every project had reflected my commitment to understanding clients' individual needs while developing design solutions that enhanced both their daily lives and their long-term investment in quality architecture. The project that had brought me the most personal satisfaction had been the design of a barrier-free home for a family whose teenage daughter had been paralyzed in an automobile accident. The project had required innovative approaches to accessibility that went far beyond basic compliance with disability codes to create a living environment that supported independence, dignity, and full participation in family life. Eleanor Whitmore has designed a home that enables our daughter to live with complete independence while maintaining the aesthetic beauty and family functionality that were important to all of us, the parents had written in a letter that I'd treasured throughout my career. Her understanding of both technical requirements and human needs has given our family hope and has proven that accommodation and beauty can work together. The recognition that had meant the most to me had come in 2015 when the Portland chapter of the American Institute of Architects had presented me with their Lifetime Achievement Award, acknowledging not just individual projects, but my overall contribution to advancing residential design excellence and environmental responsibility throughout the Pacific Northwest. Eleanor Whitmore has spent 4 decades proving that residential architecture can enhance both individual lives and community character, while establishing standards for environmental responsibility that have influenced architects throughout the region, the award citation had read. Her work demonstrates that innovation and tradition, sustainability and beauty, individual expression and community responsibility can be integrated through architectural excellence that serves both present needs and future generations. Standing in my home office that December morning, surrounded by the awards, project photographs, and professional relationships that represented 45 years of architectural achievement, I had no understanding that the family members I'd been supporting and mentoring for years were about to dismiss my expertise as outdated nostalgia, revealing the true scope of their misunderstanding and setting in motion events that would demonstrate exactly what happened when people underestimated someone with my capabilities and determination. The architectural expertise, professional relationships, industry recognition, and creative vision that Michael and Jennifer were dismissing as irrelevant to contemporary living were actually going to become the foundation for teaching them the most comprehensive lesson they'd ever receive about respecting experience, honoring expertise, and understanding that some people respond to condescension with achievements that reshape everyone's understanding of what's possible when knowledge meets determination and unlimited creative ambition. Sometimes the people who think your career is just ancient history are about to discover you're actually someone with the power to create something they've never seen before and could never imagine achieving themselves. Michael and Jennifer were about to learn that dismissing someone's professional legacy was the beginning of the most spectacular demonstration of expertise they'd ever witness. Standing in my Portland design studio that December morning, reviewing the family photographs and project documentation that lined my office walls, I couldn't help but remember how different Michael's attitude toward my architectural expertise had been just 15 years earlier, when he'd been a struggling, young contractor desperate for the kind of professional guidance and industry connections that only someone with my experience and reputation could provide. It was a relationship that had been built on genuine respect for my capabilities and sincere gratitude for the sacrifices I'd made to ensure his success. A time when Michael had spoken with such enthusiasm about learning from my expertise and building a family construction business that would honor the professional standards and innovative approaches that had defined my career. The foundation of my relationship with Michael had been laid during his childhood and adolescence, when he'd spent countless hours accompanying me to construction sites, architectural meetings, and design reviews that had given him first-hand exposure to every aspect of professional building practice. Unlike most children who viewed their parents' work as boring adult responsibilities to be avoided, Michael had been genuinely fascinated by the complex coordination required to transform architectural drawings into beautiful, functional buildings. From age 8, Michael had been my regular companion during weekend site visits, where I'd been monitoring construction progress and ensuring that contractors were implementing design details according to specifications. These experiences had provided him with practical education in construction techniques, quality control, and project management that most people never received, even in formal construction training programs. "Mom, how do you know when the contractors are doing good work?" Michael had asked during one of our site visits to a custom home project in West Lynn, demonstrating the kind of analytical curiosity that had suggested he might have real potential for success in the construction industry. "Michael, you have to understand both how things should be built and how to recognize when corners are being cut," I'd explained, showing him the difference between proper and substandard installation techniques. The clients are depending on me to protect their investment, and the only way to do that is through constant attention to detail and refusing to accept anything less than professional quality workmanship. These early experiences had given Michael sophisticated understanding of construction standards, architectural principles, and the business relationships that were essential for successful project completion. By age 12, he'd been able to identify structural problems, evaluate material quality, and understand the complex scheduling requirements that kept construction projects moving efficiently toward completion. During his high school years, Michael had worked summers as my unpaid assistant, helping with project documentation, material research, and client communications that had provided him with comprehensive exposure to architectural practice, while also demonstrating the intellectual demands and professional standards that characterized serious construction and design work. Michael has developed remarkable understanding of both the technical and business aspects of architectural practice, I'd noted in a recommendation letter for his college applications. His exposure to professional construction standards and client relationship management has given him preparation for engineering education that most students never receive. Michael's decision to pursue structural engineering at Oregon State University had been directly influenced by his childhood exposure to my architectural practice and his understanding of how engineering and architectural expertise could be combined to create superior building projects. Throughout his college years, he'd regularly consulted with me about coursework, career planning, and the industry relationships that would be essential for establishing a successful construction business after graduation. The financial support I'd provided for Michael's education had represented a significant investment in both his future and our family's continued involvement in Oregon's construction industry. His engineering degree had cost over $85,000 in tuition, fees, and living expenses, money that I'd earned through architectural projects, and had chosen to invest in his education rather than in expanding my own firm or increasing my personal lifestyle. "Mom, I know how much you're sacrificing to help me get this education," Michael had said during one of our regular phone conversations while he'd been studying at Oregon State. "I promise I'll use this opportunity to build something that makes you proud and that honors everything you've taught me about excellence and integrity in construction." Michael's gratitude for my financial support had been accompanied by genuine appreciation for the professional mentoring and industry connections that I'd been providing throughout his college years. During summer breaks, he'd worked as an intern with contractors and engineering firms that I'd recommended, gaining practical experience that had enhanced his classroom education while building relationships that would support his career development. Upon graduation in 2008, Michael had faced the challenge of establishing himself in Oregon's construction industry during one of the most difficult economic periods in decades. The housing market collapse had devastated construction companies throughout the region, creating intense competition for the limited number of projects that were still moving forward despite economic uncertainty. Rather than allowing Michael to struggle through this difficult period alone, I'd made the strategic decision to leverage my professional relationships and industry reputation to help him establish Whitmore & Associates Construction, a company that would specialize in the high-quality residential work that had always been less affected by economic downturns than speculative commercial development. The business plan we'd developed together had been based on my understanding of market opportunities and Michael's technical expertise in structural engineering. Rather than competing for large-scale commercial projects against established contractors, with decades of experience and substantial financial resources, Whitmore & Associates would focus on custom residential work, renovation projects, and specialty construction that required both engineering sophistication and architectural sensitivity. My contribution to establishing Michael's construction company had gone far beyond financial investment to include practical support that had been essential for his early success. I'd provided him with office space in my design studio, had shared administrative staff and business systems, and had given him access to the professional relationships and industry connections that I'd developed over 30 years of architectural practice. More importantly, I'd used my reputation and client relationships to secure Michael's first major projects, providing him with the track record and references that would be essential for attracting additional clients and building the credibility necessary for competing successfully against more established contractors. "Eleanor, we're so grateful that you recommended Michael for this project," one of my long-term architectural clients had said after Michael had successfully completed their home renovation. "His technical expertise and attention to quality are exactly what we expected based on your recommendation, and his professional approach reflects the standards that we've come to associate with your work." The first project I'd secured for Michael had been the renovation of a 1940s ranch home in Laurelhurst, a complex undertaking that had required structural modifications, system upgrades, and architectural sensitivity that would preserve the home's period character while incorporating contemporary amenities and energy efficiency improvements. The project had been particularly challenging because it had involved working within the constraints of an existing structure while making significant improvements to layout, functionality, and environmental performance. Michael's engineering background had been essential for developing solutions that were both technically sound and architecturally appropriate. Michael has demonstrated exceptional ability in managing complex renovation projects, the homeowners had written in a testimonial that had become essential marketing material for his developing business. His technical expertise and professional approach exceeded our expectations, and the quality of his work reflects the same standards of excellence that we've come to expect from Eleanor's architectural practice. The success of the Laurelhurst renovation had led to additional referrals from my client network, providing Michael with a steady stream of high-quality projects that had enabled him to build his business reputation while developing the financial stability necessary for long-term success in Oregon's competitive construction market. Over the following 3 years, I'd continued to provide Michael with business development support, professional mentoring, and access to industry relationships that had accelerated his company's growth, while ensuring that he maintained the quality standards and professional practices that would protect both his reputation and my own professional legacy. By 2012, Whitmore and Associates Construction had established itself as one of Portland's most respected residential contractors, with a portfolio of completed projects that demonstrated both technical excellence and aesthetic sophistication. Michael's business success had been built on the foundation of my professional relationships, industry knowledge, and continuing mentorship that had given him advantages that most young contractors never received. The introduction of Jennifer into our family dynamic had occurred in 2013, when Michael had begun dating a real estate agent whose background in property sales had provided her with exposure to Portland's residential construction industry. Though her experience had been limited to the marketing and sales aspects, rather than the technical and design expertise that characterized my architectural practice. Jennifer's initial attitude toward my professional work had been appropriately respectful and genuinely curious about the architectural principles and construction techniques that had made Michael's business successful. She'd asked thoughtful questions about design processes, had shown interest in visiting project sites, and had expressed appreciation for the professional legacy that had provided Michael with unique advantages in establishing his construction career. "Eleanor, I'm amazed by the sophistication of your architectural work," Jennifer had said during one of our early family dinners. "Michael has explained how much your expertise and connections have meant to his business development, and I can see why your clients have such confidence in your professional judgment." Jennifer's background in real estate had given her practical understanding of property values, market trends, and the importance of quality construction in maintaining long-term investment returns. Her appreciation for my work had been informed by professional experience that had taught her to recognize the difference between superior and mediocre construction quality. During their engagement period, Jennifer had regularly sought my advice about real estate transactions, property evaluations, and renovation decisions that had demonstrated both respect for my expertise and genuine interest in learning from my decades of experience in Portland's residential construction and development markets. "Eleanor, I really value your perspective on properties that we're considering," Jennifer had said when she and Michael had been house hunting in 2014. "Your architectural knowledge helps me understand things about structural quality and renovation potential that I would never notice on my own." The collaborative relationship that had developed between Jennifer, Michael, and myself during this period had been based on mutual respect, shared professional interests, and genuine appreciation for the expertise that each of us brought to family discussions about real estate, construction, and long-term financial planning. When Michael and Jennifer had decided to build their own custom home in 2015, they'd naturally turned to me for architectural design services, recognizing that my expertise and their construction capabilities could be combined to create something extraordinary while also providing an opportunity for true family collaboration on a project that would serve their needs for decades to come. The design process for Michael and Jennifer's home had been one of the most satisfying professional experiences of my entire career, combining my architectural creativity with Michael's technical expertise and Jennifer's practical understanding of contemporary lifestyle requirements and real estate market considerations. "Mom, we want you to design our dream home," Michael had said when they'd first approached me about the project. "We've found the perfect lot, and we want to create something that showcases both your design abilities and our construction capabilities while serving as a model for the kind of family collaboration that makes both our businesses stronger." The site they'd selected had been a challenging hillside lot in Portland's West Hills, offering spectacular views of the city and mountains, but requiring sophisticated engineering and design solutions to create a home that would be both beautiful and functionally appropriate for the steep terrain and environmental constraints. My design response had been a contemporary interpretation of Pacific Northwest regional architecture, featuring extensive use of natural materials, careful integration with the sloping site, and sophisticated environmental systems that would minimize energy consumption while maximizing comfort and livability. The project had required 18 months of collaborative design development, with regular family meetings where we'd discussed every aspect of the home's planning, from room layouts and material selections to landscape design and interior furnishing strategies that would create a cohesive living environment reflecting both contemporary lifestyle needs and timeless design principles. Eleanor has created a design that perfectly balances our practical needs with architectural beauty that will enhance property values for decades to come, Jennifer had written in a Christmas card during the design development process. Her expertise is making it possible for us to build a home that exceeds anything we could have imagined while staying within our budget and timeline constraints. Michael's enthusiasm for the collaborative design process had been even more pronounced, reflecting his deep appreciation for the opportunity to apply his engineering expertise to a project that would showcase both his construction capabilities and his understanding of the architectural principles that I'd been teaching him throughout his career development. "Mom, working with you on our home design has been like getting a master class in architecture," Michael had said during one of our design meetings. "I'm learning things about spatial relationships and design integration that will make me a better contractor for the rest of my career." The construction phase of Michael and Jennifer's home had provided additional opportunities for family collaboration, with Michael serving as general contractor while I'd maintained design oversight and quality control responsibilities that had ensured the finished product would meet the highest standards of both architectural excellence and construction quality. The project had been completed in 2017, resulting in a 4,200 square foot contemporary home that had been featured in Portland Home and Garden magazine and had received recognition from the Portland Home Builders Association as an outstanding example of how architectural design and construction expertise could be combined to create residential projects that enhanced both individual lifestyle and community character. The Whitmore family home demonstrates the exceptional results that are possible when architectural vision and construction expertise are combined with genuine collaboration and shared commitment to excellence, the magazine article had noted. This project establishes new standards for family collaboration in residential design and construction. The success of Michael and Jennifer's home had led to additional collaborative opportunities, with several clients requesting projects that would involve both my architectural services and Michael's construction expertise. These collaborative projects had been financially successful for both our businesses, while also strengthening our family relationships and professional partnership. During this golden period of family collaboration, Michael and Jennifer had regularly expressed gratitude for my professional contribution to their success, while also demonstrating genuine interest in learning from my experience and expertise. Family dinners had become opportunities for discussing industry trends, sharing project challenges, and planning future collaborations that would benefit everyone while maintaining the professional standards that had built our reputations. Eleanor, our collaboration has been transformative for both our business and our understanding of what's possible when family members support each other's professional goals, Jennifer had said during a family celebration of our collaborative projects. "Your expertise has enhanced everything we do, and your mentoring has made us both better at our respective careers." The financial success that had resulted from our family collaboration had also provided Michael and Jennifer with opportunities for lifestyle improvements and business expansion that would have been difficult to achieve independently. The income from collaborative projects had enabled them to travel internationally, purchase investment property, and build savings that had provided financial security and independence. But perhaps more importantly, the collaborative period had strengthened our family relationships in ways that had made our time together both personally satisfying and professionally rewarding. Michael and Jennifer had become genuine partners in architectural and construction projects, rather than just family members, contributing expertise and perspectives that had enhanced my own professional practice, while building their own capabilities and industry reputations. Working with Eleanor has made us better professionals and brought our family closer together, Michael had said during a holiday gathering in 2018. Her expertise and mentoring have accelerated our business development while also teaching us to appreciate the importance of maintaining professional standards and family relationships that support everyone's success. The introduction of grandchildren had added another dimension to our family relationships, with 8-year-old Emma and 6-year-old David providing new opportunities for sharing my love of design and construction, while also creating additional reasons for maintaining close family connections that would support multiple generations. Emma had shown particular interest in architectural drawing and spatial planning, often spending hours at my drafting table while I'd worked on project designs. Her natural ability to visualize three-dimensional relationships and understand design principles had suggested she might have inherited some of my spatial intelligence and creative capabilities. "Grandma Eleanor, can you teach me how to design houses like you do?" Emma had asked during one of our weekend visits. "I want to learn how to make beautiful spaces that make people happy." David had been more interested in the construction aspects of our work, regularly accompanying Michael to job sites where he'd learned to identify different tools, materials, and construction techniques. His enthusiasm for hands-on building activities had suggested he might follow Michael's path toward engineering and construction careers. The opportunity to share my professional knowledge with grandchildren who were genuinely interested in design and construction had provided additional satisfaction and had strengthened my sense that our family's involvement in Portland's construction industry would continue for multiple generations. During this period, Michael and Jennifer had also been supportive of my continued professional activities, encouraging me to maintain client relationships and pursue projects that utilized my expertise while providing intellectual stimulation and professional satisfaction during my semi-retirement years. "Mom, we hope you'll continue taking on interesting architectural projects for as long as you enjoy the work," Michael had said when I'd been considering full retirement in 2018. "Your expertise is too valuable to waste, and your continued involvement in the industry benefits all of us through the relationships and reputation you've built over 40 years. Their encouragement of my continued professional activity had reflected genuine respect for my capabilities and understanding that architectural expertise and creative ability didn't diminish with age when they were supported by decades of experience and ongoing engagement with contemporary design challenges. The decision to semi-retire rather than close my practice completely had been influenced by Michael and Jennifer's enthusiasm for our continued collaboration and their recognition that my ongoing professional activity would benefit our entire family through enhanced reputation, client relationships, and the intellectual stimulation that kept me engaged and energetic. Standing in my design studio that December morning, surrounded by photographs and project documentation from our years of successful collaboration, I had no understanding that the family members who'd been benefiting from my expertise and professional relationships for over a decade were about to dismiss my capabilities as outdated nostalgia, revealing a fundamental change in their attitude toward my value and setting in motion events that would demonstrate exactly what happened when gratitude transformed into condescension. The architectural expertise, professional relationships, financial support, and family investment that Michael and Jennifer had been taking for granted were actually going to become the foundation for teaching them the most comprehensive lesson they'd ever receive about respecting the people who'd made their success possible and understanding that some contributions are too valuable to dismiss without consequences. Sometimes the people who think your best days are behind you are about to discover you're actually someone with the power to create something that will redefine their understanding of what's possible when experience meets determination and unlimited creative vision. Michael and Jennifer were about to learn that dismissing someone's professional legacy was the beginning of the most spectacular demonstration of expertise they'd ever witness, and the most expensive mistake they'd ever make in their personal and professional relationships. Standing in my design studio that December morning, reviewing the family photographs that documented years of successful collaboration and mutual respect, I couldn't help but remember how perfect our family dynamic had seemed just 18 months earlier, when Michael and Jennifer had been genuinely excited about my architectural projects and had regularly sought my professional advice as a valued family resource, rather than an aging burden whose ideas had become irrelevant. But what I discovered when that devastating holiday dinner unfolded would transform my disappointment and frustration into a cold, calculating determination that would change everything forever and demonstrate that some 70-year-old women fight back with achievements that reshape entire family dynamics and community understanding of what's possible when experience meets unlimited creative vision. The peak of our family collaboration had lasted from 2018 through early 2022, a period when my architectural expertise, Michael's construction capabilities, and Jennifer's real estate knowledge had combined to create a family business partnership that had been both financially successful and personally satisfying for everyone involved. During this golden period, our family dinners had become regular celebrations of shared professional success and collaborative planning. Rather than typical family social gatherings, our time together had provided opportunities for sophisticated discussions about industry trends, project challenges, and strategic planning that had enhanced everyone's professional development while strengthening family relationships. Eleanor, your design for the Harrison renovation has generated more referrals than any project we've completed, Michael had reported during one particularly memorable family dinner in 2019. 3 potential clients have contacted us specifically because they want the same kind of architectural sophistication and construction quality that you and I delivered on that project. The Harrison renovation had been one of our most successful collaborative projects, involving the complete transformation of a 1950s ranch home into a contemporary luxury residence that had preserved the property's mid-century character while incorporating modern amenities and environmental systems that had made the home both beautiful and highly efficient. My architectural design had featured an innovative approach to opening up the cramped original floor plan while maintaining structural integrity and neighborhood compatibility. Michael's construction expertise had been essential for implementing complex structural modifications that had created soaring spaces and seamless indoor-outdoor integration without compromising the building's fundamental stability. The collaboration between Eleanor and Michael Whitmore represents the best of Pacific Northwest design and construction, Portland Monthly magazine had noted in their feature article about the project. Their family partnership demonstrates how architectural vision and construction expertise can be combined to create residential transformations that enhance both individual lifestyle and community character. Jennifer's contribution to our collaborative success had been equally valuable, providing market analysis and client relationship management that had ensured our projects appealed to sophisticated buyers while maintaining financial viability and investment potential that protected everyone's interests. Eleanor, your architectural designs consistently create property value that exceeds our initial projections, Jennifer had reported during our regular business review meetings. The homes we've renovated together have appreciated faster than comparable properties because your design expertise creates lasting appeal that transcends temporary market trends. The financial success of our collaborative projects had been extraordinary, generating income that had enhanced everyone's lifestyle, while building long-term wealth that had provided security and independence for multiple generations. Between 2018 and 2021, our joint projects had generated over $2.3 million in combined architectural and construction fees, with profit margins that had exceeded industry standards due to our efficient collaboration and reputation for exceptional quality. But more importantly, the collaborative period had provided intellectual stimulation and professional satisfaction that had made my semi-retirement both productive and personally fulfilling. Rather than feeling marginalized or irrelevant due to age, I'd been contributing essential expertise while continuing to learn and grow through exposure to contemporary construction techniques and market developments. Mom, working with you has made me a better contractor and a better business person, Michael had said during our 2020 holiday celebration. Your architectural expertise challenges me to achieve higher standards, and your professional relationships have given our business opportunities that would have taken decades to develop independently. The respect and appreciation that Michael and Jennifer had shown during this period had been genuine and consistent, reflecting their understanding that our family's professional success had been built on my foundation of expertise, relationships, and reputation that had taken 4 decades to develop. Jennifer had been particularly thoughtful about acknowledging my contributions, while also expressing gratitude for the mentoring and guidance that had enhanced her own professional development in real estate sales and property investment. "Eleanor, you've taught me to see properties the way an architect sees them," Jennifer had said during one of our project review meetings. "Understanding structural possibilities and design potential has made me much more effective at helping clients envision what's possible with renovation and has significantly improved my sales results." The grandchildren had also been integral to our family harmony during this period, with Emma and David regularly participating in family activities that had exposed them to architectural principles and construction techniques while building relationships that had enriched everyone's lives. Emma's artistic abilities had flourished under my guidance, with her architectural drawings and design projects demonstrating sophisticated understanding of spatial relationships and aesthetic principles that had suggested real potential for future career development in design fields. "Grandma Eleanor, I want to be an architect like you when I grow up," Emma had announced during a family gathering in 2021. "I want to design beautiful houses that make families happy and help them live better lives." David's enthusiasm for construction activities had been equally pronounced, with regular visits to Michael's job sites providing hands-on education in building techniques and project management that had given him practical understanding of how architectural designs became built reality. The harmony of this period had seemed sustainable and had provided the foundation for long-term family collaboration that would benefit multiple generations while maintaining the professional standards and ethical principles that had characterized my entire career. The first indication that Michael and Jennifer's attitude toward my expertise was beginning to change had come during a family dinner in November 2022, when Jennifer had made a casual comment about updating our collaborative approach to reflect contemporary design trends that might be more appealing to younger clients. "Eleanor, your architectural style is beautiful and timeless," Jennifer had said, using the kind of diplomatic language that suggested she was trying to be tactful about a sensitive subject. "But I'm wondering if we might want to consider some more contemporary approaches that would appeal to millennials and Gen Z buyers who might have different aesthetic preferences." The suggestion that my design approach was somehow outdated or less appealing to contemporary buyers had been both surprising and concerning, given that our recent projects had been generating exceptional market response and had consistently sold faster and for higher prices than comparable properties in the same neighborhoods. "Jennifer, I'm curious about what specific contemporary approaches you think would improve our market appeal," I'd responded, trying to understand the reasoning behind her suggestion. "Our recent projects have been performing exceptionally well in terms of both client satisfaction and resale value. But Jennifer had been prepared with examples of design trends that she'd apparently been researching, presenting images of contemporary residential projects that featured what she described as more minimalist and technology-forward approaches to interior planning and aesthetic development. "I think buyers today are looking for cleaner lines and more open concepts," Jennifer had explained, showing photographs of residential interiors that had featured the kind of stark minimalism and industrial materials that had been popular in some design magazines, but had typically proven less livable and less durable than the more sophisticated approaches that had characterized my work. Michael had supported Jennifer's observations with comments about construction techniques and material selections that had suggested he was beginning to question approaches that had been central to our collaborative success. "Mom, I'm seeing more clients who want concrete floors and exposed steel beams," Michael had said. "Maybe we should consider incorporating more industrial elements that would appeal to younger buyers who want something more edgy and contemporary." The implication that my design approach was somehow conservative or outdated had been particularly frustrating because it had ignored the fundamental principles of livability, durability, and timeless appeal that had made our project successful investments for clients who were planning to live in their homes for decades, rather than just a few years. But more concerning than their specific design suggestions had been the underlying assumption that my architectural expertise needed to be updated or modernized to remain relevant, despite the continued success of our collaborative projects and the consistent satisfaction of our clients. By early 2023, Michael and Jennifer's questioning of my design approaches had evolved into a more systematic pattern of dismissal and condescension that had affected both our professional collaboration and our family relationships. The shift had become particularly apparent during project planning meetings, where my design recommendations had begun to be treated as suggestions to be evaluated and potentially rejected rather than professional expertise to be respected and implemented. "Eleanor, we appreciate your input on this project," Michael had said during a particularly frustrating planning session for a major renovation. "But Jennifer and I think we need to pursue a more contemporary approach that reflects current market preferences rather than traditional design principles." The use of the phrase, "we appreciate your input," had been a clear signal that my role in our collaboration was being redefined from lead architect to consulting advisor, whose recommendations could be accepted or rejected based on Michael and Jennifer's judgment about market trends and client preferences. But what had made their changing attitude even more insulting had been their assumption that age-related decline in my capabilities was responsible for what they perceived as resistance to innovation and adaptation to contemporary design trends. "Mom, we understand that keeping up with current design trends can be challenging," Michael had said during one particularly condescending conversation. "But Jennifer and I are in touch with younger buyers every day, and we have a better sense of what appeals to contemporary clients." The suggestion that my resistance to their design suggestions was evidence of aging-related inability to adapt rather than professional judgment based on decades of experience had been both personally hurtful and professionally insulting. Jennifer had been even more direct in expressing her belief that my architectural approach had become outdated and needed to be supplemented with younger perspectives that would keep our collaborative projects competitive in contemporary markets. "Eleanor, I think it would be beneficial for our business if we brought in some younger architects who could provide fresh perspectives on design trends," Jennifer had suggested during a family business meeting. "Your experience is valuable, but we need to balance traditional approaches with contemporary innovation." The proposal to supplement my architectural expertise with younger designers had been a transparent attempt to diminish my role in our family business while maintaining access to my professional relationships and reputation. By mid-2023, the pattern of systematic dismissal and professional disrespect had become so pronounced that I decided to investigate what Michael and Jennifer had actually been planning behind my back and whether their public expressions of concern about my relevance had been accompanied by specific actions to reduce my involvement in our family business operations. My first step had been to contact several of our recent clients to understand their actual satisfaction with my architectural services and to determine whether Michael and Jennifer's concerns about market appeal had any basis in client feedback or market performance. "Eleanor, we've been absolutely delighted with your architectural work," Margaret Phillips had said when I'd called to inquire about her satisfaction with the renovation we'd completed for her family. "Your design perfectly balanced our needs for contemporary functionality with respect for our home's historic character. We've had dozens of compliments from friends and neighbors." The client feedback had been uniformly positive, with every client expressing complete satisfaction with both the design quality and the market performance of our collaborative projects. Several clients had specifically mentioned that they'd chosen our services because of my architectural reputation and had been pleased with the results that had exceeded their expectations. But my investigation had also revealed that Michael and Jennifer had been making inquiries about alternative architectural services and had been researching the possibility of establishing construction business relationships that would not depend on my continued involvement. Through my professional network, I'd learned that Jennifer had been meeting with younger architects and had been discussing the possibility of collaborative relationships that would provide contemporary design services for Whitmore and Associates construction projects. Eleanor, I thought you should know that Jennifer Whitmore has been asking about architects who specialize in contemporary residential design, Patricia Morrison, a colleague from my professional network, had reported. She specifically mentioned that she was looking for someone with a more modern aesthetic who could appeal to younger clients. The discovery that Jennifer had been actively recruiting alternative architectural services while continuing to benefit from our family collaboration had been shocking evidence of the systematic planning that had been occurring behind my expressions of professional concern. My investigation had also revealed that Michael had been discussing business restructuring options with his attorney and accountant, exploring ways to establish construction operations that would be independent of family partnerships and professional collaboration. Michael has been asking about the legal implications of modifying business partnerships and professional service arrangements. James Richardson, Michael's attorney, had mentioned during a chance encounter at a professional networking event. He seems to be considering some significant changes to his business structure. The final betrayal had occurred during our family holiday dinner in December 2023, when Michael and Jennifer had used what should have been a celebration of family togetherness to make public their decision to end our professional collaboration and to express their true feelings about my architectural expertise and my role in their lives. The evening had begun normally, with family conversation about the grandchildren's school activities, travel plans, and the kind of general catching up that had characterized our holiday gatherings for years. But I'd sensed an underlying tension that had suggested Michael and Jennifer had been planning to use the occasion for a significant family announcement. "Mom, Jennifer and I have been discussing some changes to our business operations," Michael had announced after dinner, using the formal tone that had suggested he'd been rehearsing the conversation. "We've decided that it's time for Whitmore and Associates to operate independently and to pursue new architectural partnerships that will help us reach different market segments." The announcement itself had been disappointing, but not entirely surprising, given the growing tension and professional disagreements that had characterized our recent interactions. But what had followed had been a systematic attack on my professional competence and personal value that had revealed the true extent of their disrespect and ingratitude. "Eleanor, we're grateful for everything you've done to help us get established," Jennifer had said, using the past tense in a way that had made clear they considered my contributions to be historical rather than ongoing. "But we think it's time for us to work with architects who understand contemporary design trends and can help us appeal to younger buyers who want more modern approaches to residential living." The suggestion that my architectural expertise was outdated and irrelevant to contemporary markets had been delivered with the kind of false sweetness that had made the insult even more offensive. But Michael's contribution to the conversation had been even more devastating, reflecting years of accumulated resentment that I'd never suspected existed. "Mom, we love you and we appreciate everything you've done for our family," Michael had said. "But honestly, your design style is pretty old-fashioned, and some of your ideas about construction just don't make sense anymore. We need to work with people who understand how things are done now." The casual dismissal of 4 decades of architectural expertise as old-fashioned had been shocking enough. But what had followed had been a systematic attack on specific aspects of my professional work that had demonstrated how thoroughly they'd been planning this confrontation. "Your insistence on traditional materials and classic proportions just doesn't appeal to buyers who want something more contemporary and innovative," Jennifer had continued. "And your approach to space planning feels cramped compared to the open concepts that people expect today." The critique had been both factually incorrect and professionally insulting, ignoring the fact that our collaborative projects had consistently outperformed market expectations and had received enthusiastic client satisfaction that had generated continuous referrals and industry recognition. But the most shocking revelation had come when Michael had announced their decision about my living situation and their expectations for my future housing arrangements. "Mom, we've also been thinking about your living situation," Michael had said, his tone suggesting that this had been part of their planning process. "The house is getting to be a lot for you to maintain, and we think it might be time for you to consider moving into a senior living community where you'd have more support and social activities with people your own age." The suggestion that I should move into a senior living facility had been delivered as though it were a reasonable family recommendation rather than a transparent attempt to gain control of the valuable Laurelhurst property while eliminating my independence and autonomy. "We've researched some really nice places that would be much easier for you to manage," Jennifer had added, producing brochures for retirement communities that she'd apparently prepared in advance. "You wouldn't have to worry about maintenance or upkeep, and you'd have built-in social activities and healthcare support." The assumption that I would simply agree to abandon the family home and accept institutionalized living had been the final demonstration of how completely they'd misunderstood both my capabilities and my determination to maintain independence and creative engagement regardless of my age. But what had made their betrayal even more shocking had been their casual announcement of their plans for the family property and their expectations about my cooperation with their objectives. "We think the house would be perfect for our family as the kids get older," Michael had said, as though my cooperation with their real estate planning was a foregone conclusion. "The location is ideal for the schools we want, and we could make some updates that would better suit our needs." The revelation that they'd been planning to acquire the family property while shipping me off to a retirement community had been the final piece of evidence about their true motivations and their complete lack of respect for my autonomy, independence, and continuing capability. That evening, sitting alone in the family home after Michael and Jennifer had left, I'd made the decision that would change everything forever and would demonstrate exactly what happened when people underestimated someone. With my expertise, determination, and unlimited access to the resources necessary to prove them spectacularly wrong. Rather than accepting their dismissal of my capabilities or agreeing to their plans for my future living arrangements, I would undertake the most ambitious architectural project of my entire career: the complete transformation of the supposedly unusable attic space into a luxury penthouse that would demonstrate once and for all that innovation, creativity, and professional excellence were not limited by age when they were supported by decades of expertise and unlimited determination. The attic transformation would serve multiple purposes. It would provide me with a spectacular living space that would ensure my continued independence in the family home. It would demonstrate my continued architectural competence to anyone who doubted my capabilities. And it would create a valuable asset that would forever change the family property's worth and significance. But most importantly, the project would serve as a comprehensive response to Michael and Jennifer's systematic disrespect, proving that the old-fashioned architect they'd dismissed was actually someone capable of creating something they could never have imagined and could never afford to replicate. Over the following 6 weeks, I'd developed comprehensive architectural plans for transforming the 2,400-square-foot attic space into a luxury penthouse that would rival the most expensive residential properties in Portland while incorporating innovative design solutions that would maximize the space's unique architectural advantages. My design approach had been based on careful analysis of the attic's structural capabilities, natural light resources, and spatial organization possibilities, developing solutions that would create dramatic living spaces while respecting the building's historic character and maintaining appropriate integration with the mansion's overall architectural composition. The central concept had been to create an open-plan living area that would take advantage of the soaring cathedral ceilings while incorporating separate zones for different functions, a sophisticated living area with custom seating and entertainment systems, a gourmet kitchen with professional-grade appliances and equipment, a master bedroom suite with luxury amenities, and a design studio where I could continue my architectural practice in a space specifically created for creative work. The technical challenges had been substantial, but not insurmountable for someone with my experience in complex renovation projects. The structural modifications would require careful engineering to ensure that new openings and load redistributions would not compromise the building's integrity. The mechanical systems would need to be extended from lower floors while incorporating energy-efficient technologies that would minimize operating costs and environmental impact. But the most important aspect of the design had been its demonstration of how sophisticated architectural thinking could transform a space that others had dismissed as worthless into something extraordinary and valuable. The preliminary construction budget had been approximately $850,000, a substantial investment that would be more than justified by the resulting property value increase and the personal satisfaction of creating a living environment that would support my independence and creativity for decades to come. The construction phase had begun in February 2024, with Michael and Jennifer remaining completely unaware of the scope and sophistication of the project I'd been implementing directly above their heads while they'd been planning my relocation to a senior living facility. My first step had been assembling a construction team that included the most skilled craftspeople and specialists in Portland, drawing on professional relationships I'd built over 4 decades to ensure that every aspect of the project would be executed to the highest possible standards. The general contractor had been Thomas Sullivan, a master craftsman who'd worked on several of my most prestigious projects and who'd understood exactly what would be required to create luxury living spaces within the constraints of the existing building structure. Eleanor, this is going to be the most spectacular residential transformation Portland has ever seen, Thomas had said after reviewing my architectural plans. Your design solutions are brilliant, and the finished space will be absolutely extraordinary. The construction process had required careful coordination to minimize disruption to the occupied areas of the house, while implementing complex structural modifications, system installations, and finish work that would create seamless integration between new and existing elements. The most challenging aspect had been the installation of the new staircase that would provide direct access to the penthouse level, requiring structural modifications that had been carefully engineered to maintain building integrity while creating a grand entrance that would be worthy of the spectacular spaces above. The mechanical systems installation had been equally complex, requiring new HVAC equipment, electrical service upgrades, and plumbing extensions that would provide contemporary comfort and convenience while maintaining energy efficiency and environmental responsibility. Throughout the 6-month construction period, I'd maintained daily oversight of all work, ensuring that every detail was executed according to specifications, while also making design refinements that had enhanced the project's functionality and aesthetic appeal. The completion of the attic transformation had coincided perfectly with Michael and Jennifer's planned family gathering in August 2024, when they'd intended to finalize discussions about my relocation to a retirement community and their acquisition of the family property. Mom, we've scheduled appointments for you to visit 3 different senior living communities next week, Jennifer had announced when they'd arrived for what they'd expected to be a routine family dinner. We think you'll be really impressed with the amenities and social opportunities they provide. My response had been to invite them to join me for a tour of my new living space, leading them up the new staircase to discover the most spectacular residential space in Portland, a luxury penthouse that had transformed their understanding of both my capabilities and the value of the property they'd been planning to acquire. The 2,400-square-foot penthouse had featured soaring cathedral ceilings with exposed Douglas fir beams, floor-to-ceiling windows that provided panoramic views of the Portland skyline and Mount Hood, custom millwork and built-in furniture that had maximized both functionality and aesthetic appeal, and luxury amenities that had rivaled the most expensive residential properties in the city. The open-plan living area had been anchored by a magnificent stone fireplace and had featured custom seating areas, entertainment systems, and art display spaces that had created a sophisticated environment for both relaxation and entertaining. The gourmet kitchen had been equipped with professional-grade appliances, custom cabinetry, and a large island that had provided both workspace and casual dining, while maintaining visual connection to the living areas and spectacular views beyond. The master bedroom suite had included a spa-like bathroom with luxury fixtures, a walk-in closet with custom storage, systems, and private access to a roof deck that had provided outdoor living space with unobstructed city and mountain views. My design studio had been specifically created to support continued architectural practice with professional-grade drafting equipment, extensive storage for project materials, and technology systems that would enable me to maintain client relationships and pursue creative projects indefinitely. "This is impossible," Jennifer had whispered, standing in the magnificent living space while trying to process what she was seeing. "How did you create all this?" Michael's reaction had been even more pronounced, reflecting his professional understanding of the construction complexity and technical sophistication that the transformation had required. "Mom, this is incredible," Michael had said, his voice carrying genuine awe and recognition of architectural achievement that exceeded anything he'd ever seen. "The structural work alone must have cost a fortune, and the finish quality is absolutely museum level." The completion of the penthouse had transformed the Laurelhurst property from a valuable but conventional Victorian mansion worth approximately $1.8 million into a unique architectural masterpiece worth over $4.5 million, representing the largest single property value increase in the neighborhood's history. The penthouse had added 2,400 square feet of luxury living space that had been completely integrated with the existing structure while creating dramatic architectural features that had enhanced the entire property's appeal and significance. Real estate professionals who'd evaluated the completed project had confirmed that the transformation had created the most desirable residential property in Portland, combining historic character with contemporary luxury in ways that would appeal to the most discriminating buyers while representing a unique investment opportunity. "Eleanor Whitmore has created something truly extraordinary," Patricia Williams, Portland's most prestigious luxury real estate agent, had said after touring the completed penthouse. "This property now rivals anything available in the Pacific Northwest, and the architectural innovation represents a new standard for historic property renovation." The revelation of the penthouse transformation had forced Michael and Jennifer to confront the complete failure of their assumptions about my capabilities, while also recognizing the enormous financial opportunity they'd lost through their systematic disrespect and dismissal of my expertise. "Mom, we had no idea you were planning anything like this," Michael had said during our first conversation after the penthouse tour. "We completely underestimated your abilities and made terrible assumptions about your future. We're sorry." Jennifer's apology had been even more comprehensive, reflecting her recognition that their treatment of me had been both personally hurtful and professionally disastrous. "Eleanor, we made a huge mistake in thinking your expertise was outdated," Jennifer had said. "We should have been supporting your creative projects instead of trying to marginalize your contributions. We're embarrassed by our behavior and grateful that you've shown us how wrong we were." But the most significant consequence of the penthouse revelation had been Michael and Jennifer's recognition that their plan to acquire the family property had become financially impossible, as the transformed mansion now represented an investment worth far more than they could afford. "We realize now that we can never buy this property from you," Michael had admitted during our family reconciliation. "You've created something so valuable and extraordinary that we'll never have the resources to acquire it, even if you were interested in selling." The completion of the attic transformation had generated attention throughout Portland's architectural and cultural communities, with the project being recognized as an outstanding example of how innovative design could transform historic properties, while demonstrating that architectural creativity and technical expertise were not limited by age. The penthouse had been featured in Architectural Digest, Portland Monthly, and Pacific Northwest Home and Garden, with each publication emphasizing the sophistication of the design solutions and the exceptional quality of the construction execution. Eleanor Whitmore has proven that architectural innovation knows no age limits, the Architectural Digest article had noted. Her transformation of an unused attic into a spectacular penthouse represents the kind of creative problem-solving and technical expertise that characterizes truly exceptional architects. The Portland chapter of the American Institute of Architects had presented me with a special recognition award for the project, acknowledging both the architectural achievement and the inspiration it had provided to other seniors who were pursuing creative projects despite age-related assumptions about declining capabilities. Eleanor Whitmore has demonstrated that experience, expertise, and creative vision can combine to produce architectural achievements that exceed anything possible. Through youth and energy alone, the award citation had read, her penthouse transformation establishes new standards for what's possible when architectural expertise meets unlimited determination. Standing in my spectacular penthouse 18 months after its completion, overlooking the city skyline while reviewing the architectural journals and industry recognition that had resulted from the project, I felt a deep satisfaction that had nothing to do with revenge and everything to do with the complete vindication of my right to live according to my own values and priorities, while continuing to create and contribute regardless of other people's assumptions about age and capability. The penthouse had become more than just a living space. It had become a symbol of what was possible when experience met determination and unlimited creative vision. The project had inspired other seniors throughout the region to pursue ambitious creative projects and had changed community attitudes about aging, expertise, and the value of continuing to challenge conventional assumptions about what older adults could achieve. The financial impact had been equally significant, with the property transformation creating wealth that had ensured my independence and security, while also providing resources for continued creative projects and community contributions that would benefit multiple generations. But perhaps most importantly, the penthouse transformation had taught Michael and Jennifer a lesson about respect, appreciation, and the consequences of underestimating people based on age-related assumptions that had nothing to do with actual capabilities or potential contributions. Mom, your penthouse project has changed how we think about aging, creativity, and family relationships, Michael had said during a recent family celebration. You've shown us that experience and expertise are assets to be celebrated rather than limitations to be managed. The grandchildren had been equally impressed by the transformation, with Emma and David regularly visiting the penthouse and expressing amazement at their grandmother's architectural abilities and creative vision. Grandma Eleanor, you're the coolest architect in the world, Emma had announced during one of her visits. When I grow up, I want to design amazing spaces just like you do. The attic transformation had become a family legend and a community inspiration, proving that some dreams are too powerful and some visionaries too determined to be limited by other people's assumptions about what's possible when expertise meets unlimited creative ambition. If someone in your life is trying to dismiss your capabilities while treating you with disrespect based on assumptions about age or declining relevance, remember my story. Remember that experience and competence are not diminished by age when you have knowledge, resources, and the determination to prove that innovation knows no limits. Remember that people who try to marginalize your contributions while assuming they know what's best for your future might discover they've challenged someone with the capability to create something they could never imagine and could never afford to replicate. What's your story? Have you ever had to prove wrong? Family members? Who underestimated your capabilities and dismissed your dreams? Share it in the comments below, and remember to like and subscribe for more stories about turning dismissal into triumph and proving that the best response to condescension is extraordinary achievement. Because sometimes the best response to people who laugh at your unconventional choices is showing them exactly what happens when experience meets unlimited creative vision and determination, to prove that some people fight back with achievements that reshape entire family dynamics and community understanding of what's possible. Michael and Jennifer thought they could dismiss my expertise while planning my future without my consent. What they actually did was inspire the most spectacular architectural achievement of my career, while learning that some people respond to disrespect with consequences more beautiful and more lasting than anything they could ever imagine. Sometimes, the people who think your best days are behind you are about to discover you're actually someone with the power to create something that will redefine their understanding of what's possible when experience meets determination and unlimited creative vision. That's a lesson worth $4.5 million in property value, and every dollar was worth it to prove that respect and appreciation aren't negotiable at any age, and that some dreams are too powerful to be limited by other people's assumptions about what 70-year-old women can achieve when they have expertise, resources, and unlimited determination to prove everyone wrong. Justice served, independence secured, expertise vindicated, vision realized, legacy established. The view from 72 is spectacular when you're surrounded by people who respect your capabilities rather than dismiss them. Michael and Jennifer learned that laughing at someone's unconventional housing choice was the beginning of the most expensive lesson in humility they'd ever receive, and the most beautiful demonstration of what happens when you underestimate someone with 45 years of architectural expertise and unlimited creative ambition. Respect your elders, especially when they have the power to transform your understanding of what's possible. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.